Little did I know there was a storm waiting for me in my final year. Everything changed in one night. Opening my eyes and seeing my parents looking at me and asking me two questions. Son, can you see us? Sujith, what happened that night? I found myself lost. A lot of friends left. There was a voice telling me it's not over. 7 years ago, life took a complete 360 turn on my face and it left me a question to which till date I have no answers to. My name is Sujith Varghese. I am here to talk about an incident that happened one night that completely changed my life. I was born and raised in UAE. I was living with my parents and my siblings. I did most of my schooling here. My childhood I had a very amazing childhood, a very good childhood. I was very active as a boy and very much involved in the field of sports, especially basketball, as I was a team player in the basketball team of my school. After a couple of years, I moved to Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India, to pursue my bachelor's in commerce. Little did I know there was a storm waiting for me in my final year. In my final year, a month before my final exams on March 31st, 2013, I met with a bike accident, to which till date I have no recollection of. The very first memory I had was opening my eyes and seeing my parents looking at me and asking me two questions. Son, can you see us? 2, do you recognize us? I just remembered nodding my head and going back to sleep. I was on high medication at that time. It took me a couple of days to realize that I just met a very serious bike accident and 2 major surgeries were done on my body. The doctors explained. He came up to me and said, you have 18 fractures on your skull. You have 3 ribs broken and multiple injuries all over your body. But the injury that changed my life was the spinal cord injury. My spinal cord was injured at my T5, T6 level. I was paralyzed below my chest that day. Everything changed in one night. I spent about 2 weeks in the ICU and then I was moved to a ward. In the ward, a lot of people would come. I would have a lot of visitors, a lot of family, a lot of friends, a lot of unknown people as well, asking me one single question. And that was, Sujith, what happened that night? To which I realized I had no answers to. I was confused, I was lost. There wasn't anyone at the time of my accident. I spent the next 3 months in a rehabilitation center in Vellore, where I was taught the most basic things. I was taught how to pick things from a ground. I was taught how to transfer from my wheelchair to a car, how to get inside a car, how to get onto a bed, how to balance myself without falling off my chair, because due to my injury I lost my trunk balance, and because of that, if I raised my hand, I would have fallen on any side of my wheelchair. It took me a good while to just be steady and develop my trunk muscles. I was taught like how someone would teach a baby, but that's exactly the state I was in. I couldn't control my own body. After rehabilitation, when I came back to my house in Kerala, it was very difficult accessing my own house as there was a lot of steps. But something really changed. And that's when I realized it, the outlook of people towards me. I had a lot of visitors who came and saw me. And everybody had one single emotion on their face, and that was sympathy, sympathy, and sympathy. They started placing limitations on me. They started telling me what was possible and what wasn't. They started telling me how much I could dream and where I had to place my limits because I was on a wheelchair. I found myself lost. A lot of friends left. Depressed, sad, hurt, and confused and wondering why this happened to me and how it happened, to which I still wonder every day. And though I was at this phase, this deepest, darkest phase of my life, which I've never been in, which I've never experienced, and found that there wasn't anybody who could really help me from this situation. And with everyone giving me negativity and giving me limitations of my life henceforth, there was a voice telling me, it's not over. There was one voice that stood louder than the rest of them, than all the other limitations and negativity. And that wasn't from anywhere else but from within myself. That's when I realized I do not have to allow others' opinions to become my reality. When my heart believed that I was still the same person I was before my accident, so I am now. I am still in charge of my life. And from henceforth, I was only determined to prove all those people who just saw me as a piece of flesh on a wheelchair that I was better than who they thought I was. I was going to use my greatest adversity and make the most out of it. And that's exactly what I did. I wanted to do the first thing what everyone told me was impossible. And that was a very simple thing. That was a request. That was a request to sleep in my room, which, though simple, was hard, as it was on the first floor and I was on the ground floor. There was no way anybody could lift me up all the way. I had to find a way. I wheeled myself till the end of the staircase. I picked myself up and I did a push-up, 18 steps up, all the way to my room. And in the morning, I used to come back down the same way, sitting, crawling and pushing myself up. I did that every single day. And you know what? All those people who told me this was impossible suddenly started coming and asking me, how did you do it? A couple of years later, I got the chance to come back to Dubai. And when I was back here, I wasn't working, I wasn't studying, I didn't finish my bachelor's in commerce then. At that time, I wanted to do something other than just sit and warm my wheelchair up. I wanted to join a gym, to which when I voiced, people thought was still impossible. But I still did it anyway. I wheeled myself to the gym and I started with the most basic weights. Fast forward 3 months, I'm bench pressing over 100 kilograms. Do note, this is something that I wasn't able to do when I was back on my own 2 feet. And the only reason I was able to accomplish it was because of my pure determination to beat my own scores of what I had already placed. But my biggest challenges over the years, when I was breaking one challenge after another, one barrier after another, I wanted to do something exceptional that when people saw, their minds would be blown. In 2018, I physically pulled a car that weighed 1.5 ton, 1,500 kilograms. I pulled a car for about 10 meters. And the whole idea was to show people, if you saw something impossible done in front of you by a person in a wheelchair, wouldn't you start rewiring and rethinking in your mind what all did you consider impossible and how easy they would have been if you just put your heart, your mind and your soul into it. Today, I'm a 3-time TEDx speaker. I've spoken in multiple schools, colleges, touching over 10,000 people, and I've done various events in the UAE. I am a fitness influencer in the UAE and I'm a winner of the Masala Awards Most Inspirational Personality 2017. A couple of years ago, when I was undergoing surgeries, after surgeries, 16 till date to be precise, I have spent months in the hospital, having countless needles pierce my veins over and over again. Nobody believed I would be where I am today. Nobody, if you saw me back then, it would be very hard for someone to expect very little even out of a person. And during this journey, I could have given up at any point I wanted. I could have just given up this fight without pursuing for a better life. But then I realized that it is a choice that I had to make, not anyone else. The only reason I wasn't able to pick myself up from the start is because I was always relying on people. I was relying on doctors, I was relying on nurses, I was relying on people other than myself to get me out of the situation, to which I later realized that the power was completely with me. The choice was for me to make. For me, though it was hard, to make a difference, to make a change. And that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what I tell each and every one of you watching this today. You have immense power, immense potential. Do not allow others' voice to shun your dreams, your goals. They will never understand your journey because they are not living your journey, your path. When I started mine, it started with proving people wrong that I was able to do better than they thought. But today my life has taken me to a completely new journey with the goal to touch every single body that comes in my life. So do not give up. You have the sole power to make that choice. So make it. Take action. Make it today. Make it happen, as you have the power, and you do not have to look anywhere else other than within to make that choice. Realize and know you are one decision away from a completely different life. Thank you.
Tell us what you think about this video and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.